Hi there everybody, it's Martin Twycross here with another video short, bringing you practical down-to-earth teachings on mediumship and development, without the fluff. So in today's video I want to talk to you about the importance of evidence, why evidence is a fundamental cornerstone of mediumship, and mediumship cannot work without evidence. I want to explain what is evidence, I want to explain what isn't evidence, and I want to explain that why as mediums we should always be pushing for the best evidence. So that's what I want to talk about in this video. If that sounds of interest to you, then do stay with me. Okay, evidence. So the purpose of this video is to talk about evidence, to tell you why it's important, and to explain what is and isn't evidence. And watching a lot of mediums work, it became pretty clear to me that there's a number of mediums who just do not understand what evidence is and what isn't evidence. And there are a number of mediums out there who don't give good evidence, who just give generics, who just don't really necessarily demonstrate that they are linking with spirit. So the purpose of doing this video is to share that information for all those in development and for all those working with mediumship. First of all, let's start by defining evidence. So what exactly is evidence? And my own definition of evidence is that it's sufficient information about a spirit communicator to identify them. Number one, they have to be identified. And secondly, to demonstrate that we as mediums are linking with them. So it's sufficient information to identify them and sufficient information to demonstrate we are linking with them. So the key point is it's about the spirit communicator. The evidence has to be about the person we say we are linking with in the spirit world. It should be identifying features, so it should be specific, not generic. And it has to come through mediumship, obviously. So those are some important parts within our definition. So why is evidence important? Well, mediumship is all about communication from the spirit realm. As mediums, we link to the spirit realm, we connect to individual minds within the spirit realm, and we bring forward information about them so they can get recognized, and then we bring their messages forward to their loved ones here. That is the purpose of mediumship. Mediumship is designed to demonstrate survival and to reunite loved ones so that they may share time with each other again, and for spirit to bring forward the communication they wish to bring forward. So if we're going to identify who that is coming from, it is critical we bring through sufficient evidence, sufficient information about the spirit communicator so the person in front of us knows who it is. What you don't want is for the person to be sat there who you're talking to, if it's sitting, or if you're working with someone in an audience, and them thinking, well, I can still take 3 or 4 people that sound just like this and I'm not really sure who it's from. If that's the case, then the evidence is just not good enough. I do see a lot of mediums who work, who say, oh, I've got your mum here and your mum's telling me about you and this is happening in your life. And you think, where is the evidence? There wasn't any. The only word of evidence was mum. But how did you demonstrate it was mum? If you're bringing my mum to me, you'd better bring some information about her so I can recognise her. If you just tell me mum's here and she said, I will not believe it. No way. And often when I'm watching mediums work, I see mediums, particularly if they go direct, and they'll go direct to somebody in the audience and say, I'm coming to you, and they'll say, I've got a lady here, and they'll describe a lady in the spirit world who was a good age, who was generally well through their life, but got ill towards the end, but who loves her family, who likes cooking, who likes baking, and it's taken, it's understood. But I sit there and I can take everything that's said. I know loads of people in spirit like that. If you gave me that information, I could take it too. And I'm sure if you asked everybody in the audience, they could all take it. And we call that generics. It's just not specific enough to identify it. But if you say, I've got a lady here, she passes with a stroke, and she's in her early 80s, maybe 82, and I know she has 4 children, and I know this lady speaks with a very strong accent. Now I reckon you're going to get down to a lot less people. And if you were to say, I know there was 3 strokes, 2 mini strokes, followed by a main stroke, the main stroke took her, there was no recovery from it. But the other strokes, I know that it affected part of the body. Again, you're going to narrow yourself down even more. So that's what we're looking for when we're talking about given evidence. And given evidence that is specific, not generic. So when I talk about evidence, we can talk about categories of evidence. Generally, whenever we're working as a medium, we should be starting with the first line of, I've got a man or a woman, and then we should be describing them, bringing information about them. Maybe their age, their passing condition, their health, their personality. It could be their appearance, it could be the relationship to the recipient. We could also give information about the family, pets that belong to them. We can bring through shared memories, objects of exchange. We can talk about their jobs, their occupations, their interests, their hobbies. We can talk also about their habits, their mannerisms. We can give information as well, like facts, like names, dates and places, although those types of information are not always so easy to get. So that's what we mean with evidence. It's information about the person who comes forward that relates specifically to them so they can be identified by the recipient. We shouldn't be starting, like I see a lot of mediums saying, well, as I tune in, I get this lovely bridge, this lovely view, and I also feel there's a connection with the month of May. Well, hang on, you've got a man or woman? Hang on a minute. Let's have some information about the person in the spirit world. Because that information, it could be received psychically. It could just be your own mind. We don't know. So really, we want it to be very specific and we want it to be on point and about spirit. That's what we want. So what is not evidence? If evidence is information about the spirit communicator which identifies them, then any information we give which does not help identify the spirit communicator is not evidence. Information we give about the recipient or about others within the family, it's not evidence. Information we give about events since the passing of that person, that's not evidence. But I must say all of that can actually be supporting information. I'm not going to say supporting evidence, but supporting information that demonstrates we are linking with the person we say we are. But technically, it isn't really evidence. Now, generic information, generic statements, they are not evidence. We have something called the Barnum statement. It sounds highly specific, but it actually fits everybody. P.T. Barnum was of circus fame. He used to say his strapline was, we have something for everybody. So therefore, the Barnum statement sounds specific, but it's not, and it can fit everybody. Also, the message we bring forward for spirit, the reason they're here, the message they wish to communicate to their loved one in front of them, whether in sitting or demonstration, that is not evidence neither, because that is the message. Evidence is facts about them, information about them that will help to get them identified, to help to demonstrate who they are. Information that's not understood. If you bring forward, say, I've got a man here and you're telling somebody and they're saying, I don't know who that is, I don't understand a single piece of that, then ultimately it's not evidence because the whole lot of information is not being understood. I do understand that we can get an occasional statement that is not understood. Sometimes people go away and check it. It proves to be accurate. But if the whole body of evidence is not being understood, then it's not really evidence. Information we get on the psychic level is not evidence. And when we're working with somebody physically within the room with us, a sitter or a recipient in the audience, we have a psychic link with them and we can receive information from that link back to us. We call that the psychic link rather than the mediumistic link, which is with the spirit world. Information we receive from them on the psychic, that is not evidence because we receive it psychically. Any information that we already know is not evidence. If you can remember your last contact you gave this person and you repeat it verbatim, that is not evidence. If you know about the person in the audience and you know all their loved ones and you know what's happening in their life and you tell them what you already know, we call that hot reading. That is not evidence. So it has to be obtained through mediumship. And in that scenario, if I was working with somebody I knew, I would volunteer, I know this person. And then if I had the same link, I recognise, hang on, I've had this one before, this contact before, I would say, I do believe I've given you this person before. Yes, that's correct. So I would like to get some information now that I haven't given you. And my job is then to get information that they've not had from me. And then I will check it at the end and say, are you in agreement that what I've given you new information today that I've never given you before? Yes. And that then demonstrates that it's not just a memory exercise. So that is what is not evidence. So now let's look at what is the best evidence. What is the most beneficial type of evidence we can give? What evidence can we give that demonstrates that we really are blended with spirit, working with spirit and bringing forward spirit? So for me, some of the best information can be information the recipient does not know. Information that's not in their knowledge, not in their mind, that you give them, they say no to, and then it goes away and it checks out. But generally, I would want other statements of evidence that are understood. For example, a medium gave me a link and they told me things and they told me a family secret. I'm like, no, that's not right. I would have heard about that. That's definitely not right. I went back, took it to other people in the family and said, have you ever heard of this? And they said, how did you find out about that? That was no one was supposed to talk about that. Now that is excellent evidence, because I didn't know it. I had to go find out. So also, highly specific factual information is excellent evidence. If we can give highly specific facts that check out. I've got a man here. I know this man was a postman for 20 years. Yes, he was. That's good. Or this lady, she gives me the name of Gertrude. Yes, that's her name. Or this lady, she takes me to a very happy occasion. I feel like a birthday, and I feel it's on the 5th of May. Yes, her daughter was born on the 5th of May. That is excellent information. It checks out, it's understood, it fits. That's what we would like where factual evidence is concerned. We have something else which we call emotional evidence. And emotional evidence can be evidence related to emotions, which is very profound to the recipient, or just any evidence which sparks a profound emotional response. You may just say something just so random and the recipient bursts into tears. The recipient gets incredibly emotional about it because you've said something that you don't realize how profound it is, or how emotional it is, or how meaningful it is, but it's very profoundly emotional. What we call emotional evidence. Also, we can bring forward the presence of spirit. We can allow the presence of spirit to build so much within the room that the recipient or the sitter feels the presence of their loved one there. It's very profound. We're bringing through so much information. We're building them up. We can bring spirit to life. We can take on their mannerisms. We can become them. We can start talking like them. We can use phrases they would use, or we could adopt postures or mannerisms they would use, or we may just bring forward a specific phraseology of theirs. Sometimes people will say to me, did you realize you were talking so fast, or did you realize you took on a certain accent when you were doing that link? And I'm like, no, I didn't know it. And often as mediums, we don't know what's happening until people point it out to us at the end as to what's happened. Bringing spirit to life, becoming and bringing forward the presence, that's very profound. Good evidence, we can also tell Spirit's story. Spirit may come back to build up a story, build up a narrative that they want expressed to their loved one. And we can do that. But Spirit doesn't always bring a story, I hasten to add. Sometimes we look for stories and there's not a story there. But sometimes they may bring that story for us to build and for us to communicate. And that can be very profound as well. And sometimes they bring messages that are so evidential. The message from this lady is she's got a ring for you. She wants you to have this ring. This ring has 3 stones in it, and the middle one is a diamond. Then we've got 2 red like rubies around it, or garnets, and she's giving you this. And she tells me that you were meant to have this ring when she passed and you didn't get it. You really loved that ring. You wanted that ring. She always intended to leave it to you, but somebody else in the family took it and you never got it. She understands, she knows that, and she's now bringing you it from the spirit world. She's bringing you the spiritual equivalent. It's good evidence. The evidence was it was her ring. You've described it accurately, but the point was the recipient was meant to have it, and you've brought forward a profound message that the spirit communicator wants her to have it and has given her the spiritual equivalent. But one point I would like to make to you is that we as mediums can never truly judge the quality of our evidence, because we can say something that we don't think has much value, but afterwards the recipient will tell you that was so profound, that is so amazing. You brought forward an apology from this person in the spirit world. This person treated me badly. She's been through multiple times through other mediums, and that's never come forward. But you're the one who really brought forward her personality. You're the one who really brought forward the character. And that apology means more to me than anything. It's touched me so much. That's what we want. But when we give it, we don't understand how beneficial or how meaningful it is. When we give it, we just do not understand the quality of the evidence we're given. But our job as mediums is to blend with spirit and surrender and allow what they need to come forward. But to give evidence like that, it takes a lot of experience, takes a lot of effort, takes time. We have to train ourselves to do it. We have to push ourselves to do it. Getting good evidence is not something that naturally happens instantly for most mediums. It takes training. And if you are interested in how to get better evidence, I do have a course coming up called Getting Better Evidence, where I will do a deep dive into evidence across 4 classes, 4 2-hour classes, and I will give tools, tips, strategies and techniques that we can use within our mediumship to get better evidence, to bring forward the presence of spirit, to get more meaningful and evidential messages, to bring forward those facts, to bring forward the presence, to bring forward the essence, to bring them to life. So if that sounds of interest, I will put a link in the description and in the comments below if that would appeal to you. So in this video then, I've covered what is evidence. I've covered what is not evidence. I've covered the importance of evidence. Evidence is critical and vital, fundamental to mediumship. It is the cornerstone of mediumship. We cannot have mediumship without evidence. And also I've talked about the best types of evidence we should be all pushing for. And that's what I would like for all mediums, for all developing mediums, to push, reach higher. Get that evidence. Bring forward spirit and really demonstrate who you have. So I do hope that you found this video helpful. If you have, do hit the like button, do leave me a comment. If you like my teaching style, then do subscribe to the channel. I release a couple of videos per month on mediumship and development. Also, if you want to support the channel, do check out my products, my courses, my study program. You can check those out on my website and in my store. I will again put links in the description below. If you would like to support the channel, you can also make a donation through PayPal, and I'll put a link in the description below as well. All monies go back to support the channel. So I do hope you've enjoyed what I've had to say today about evidence. I do hope you found it helpful, and I look forward to seeing you next one.